Well, John, congratulations. You've done it again. More backing from the federal government of Canada. Where should we start?
Well, it's up to you, Tracy. But yeah, there's been quite a bit of backing from the federal government. As you know, a $16.7 million contribution for the mine concentrator back in March. And today we announced another $4.8 million of non-refundable, non-dilutive financing from the Canadian government for a power transmission line and road infrastructure development, which basically means, developing the critical infrastructure that will be able to get the mine operating and also the products to market, which is very important.
Well, let's break down this $4.84 million non-dilutive deal that you have. Let's start with the power transmission line. Can you tell us some of the details about how that is going to move forward?
Yeah, so basically the Bégin-Lamarche site is very fortunate in that, power line is very close. Also, the main highway is very close at no more than 2 kilometers from the site. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of how. How do we bring that power transmission line in the way that's most effective, cost effective, that is most in standing with the needs and the desires of the local community. And the same thing with the road. The best way to get that product to market with the least impacts possible, and in ways that basically takes care of the environment the best possible ways.
So, John, in reading this, it sounds to me like the federal government is really trusting you about moving this forward because they have you doing the study for the clean line transmission, the location, for instance. Can you tell us some more of these details, please?
Yeah, so basically when you bring in a transmission line and you bring in a road, these are big projects. They require engineering. So it's all the work that goes into determining exactly where the road will go, how it will wind, how it will get there, what will be the least amount of impacts. Same thing with the power line. So you are correct in saying that the government of Canada is supporting this project as much as possible to get it into production as quickly as possible.
And of course, this non-repayment investment that the federal government is doing is in addition to a previous commitment of already a $16.7 million in funding. For those of you who may not know about First Phosphate, I don't know how you wouldn't, but can you give us some of the highlights of the previous commitment from the federal government?
So yeah, the previous commitment, which was announced around time of PDAC in March of this year, that was really specific to the engineering work around the process, the concentrator, to basically transform the rock into phosphate concentrate. And this is now sort of on how to get that concentrate to market across a road, and how to get the power to that concentrator for the concentrator to be able to do its job. So it ties everything nice and neatly together.
I think we all had some kind of understanding that more good news was going to happen when Carney brought you up during the G7. Have you had any other outfall from Carney discussing First Phosphate that you can share with our audience?
Yeah, so I think it all plays in nicely together. So we just talked about the contributions from the federal government, but if you look back a couple of weeks, the Quebec government also fast-tracked the project, created a body, a working group within the government that allows for quicker permitting, brings together all the different ministries to be able to look at the project holistically. That's really important to us. And then also, as you mentioned, at the G7 summit in June of this year, it was mentioned by the Prime Minister, and we were also put on a list of projects of priority for the G7. And we were also given commitments from the European Union, the Danish government, the Italian government, and also earlier on from the Belgian and European governments. So you've got everything from local support to provincial support to federal support to multinational support for the project, and it all ties in very well together.
Well, with all of the excitement, of course, First Phosphate has $51 million in the bank. Can you tell us how you and your team are dealing with the growth challenges coming with all of this support?
Yeah, so there's over $30 million in treasury as per our last financials. And now with these two contributions from the federal government. That's about $21.5 million in total. So we have total access to capital of over $50 million. It allows us to get through feasibility, permitting, and right to final investment decision. And then after final investment decision, the nation states are already at the table to finance the build out of the concentrator. The difficulty has been in getting access to this capital. Now that we have it, we're finding operations are quite smooth. Having the capital also gives basically credence to the project. It also gives security to the internal staff, to the external suppliers, and we've got a very fluid team of internal and external consultants and staff that are working day and night on advancing the project, with the security that the funding is there to be able to get us through all the steps. So things are moving very, very fast, very fluidly, and with great teamwork on all ends.
I just want to share with our audience the quote from Honorable Tim Hodgson, who's our Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. He says, quote, "Canada has what the world wants, and we are building the infrastructure required to get those resources to diverse markets." And it seems like, that was end of quote, it seems like the federal government and the Quebec government have really placed First Phosphate at the front of their priority list. Can you tell us how you were selected?
I guess, it's one step at a time. It's really about the project. We've done everything that we had to do as a company. Also, just recently, we upgraded our inferred to indicated resources by a factor of 400%. We've been building our internal team. We've been working very closely with the local groups, be it the local public, the Indigenous groups, the chambers of commerce, all the local stakeholders. And I think that resonates. And it also resonates the fact that both North America and Europe are short on their phosphate. We need to onshore the LFP battery supply chain. This is a wonderful source, one of the highest purity sources in the world. So it all comes together, and one piece builds upon the other. And I think it's also the energy and the dynamism of our team that's pushing it forward. We have a good project. It's a good project on a good medium scale. Fits in well with the community, and everyone is pulling in the same direction.
For those of you, again, who are new to following First Phosphate, this is a company that is achieving milestones incredibly rapidly. Can you tell us what shareholders should anticipate in the upcoming quarter, John?
Well, what we have obviously is our feasibility study that we're looking to bring to market by the end of 2026, early 2027. We're working very hard towards those goals now that we're fully financed. We have the access to capital to do it. And that's obviously our primary mission out there. Obviously, there's a lot that happens in between, like this announcement here today was a little bit of a surprise. You never know when these government contributions are coming, but when they come, they help. And so, as a published milestone, it's really the feasibility study that we're looking for. And what happens in between, we shall see.
Well, on behalf of all of the Canadians out there following you and First Phosphate, congratulations, John. And for those of you seeking more information, please go to the following website. Thank you, John.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Good to be here.